This episode is dedicated to my friend James, my fellow guildie, buddy, merchant, and bossing partner. Hey guys, this is Dennis, and welcome to the Merch Guide episode 3. So basically, for the rest of the merch guides, I hope I can do this consistently. Every single merch guide we're going to have, well, as you can see in the background, this is me buying some equipment for my Paladin. For the first 5 to 10 minutes, I hope I can just talk about the Paladin, and I'm just doing this so I can attract more views from non-merchants possibly, and that can, maybe help other people out with merchanting. But yeah, basically, it'll make it more exciting for you guys as well, because seeing just a blank picture or a blank screen or whatever is pretty boring. So yeah, first 5 to 10 minutes, we're just gonna talk about the Paladin progress. I know right now it's a Dark Knight, but yeah, basically, for those who are curious, the reason why I'm making a Dark Knight first is because I have a pole arm, which is a level 95 weapon, so uh, I'm making it a Dark Knight first so it can train faster, and then after it reaches level 127, I can switch to my VIP sword, so then I can switch to a Paladin then. So yeah, that's really the reason why I'm making a Dark Knight first. It'll just make it a little bit faster. But yeah, basically what I did in the first 15 minutes or so of these clips is I bought the equips, I unique potted them from my friend Ping, so thank you Ping. And after that, I YOLO scrolled them. So, yeah, this is, I guess you can say my Paladin is more of a budget character. So, I do have a chapter in the merch guide called Funding and Bossing, and I feel like this, I guess if you watch how I make these equips, it is actually a pretty good guide in that sense because, really, for the Paladin, the equips that I'm getting, they're more like if I find them, I'll take them. So it's just more like I'm laying in the cut and I'm just seeing opportunities here and there and I'm taking them. Like as you can see, I'm scrolling these equips just by an event and it's almost costing me nothing. Like I know the leaves are pretty damn expensive right now from well in the day that I'm recording it, but yeah. When I bought these, the leaves were like 14k each, which is not too much. So yeah. Um Basically I YOLO scrolled them. If it turned out bad, which the pants did, you'll see that pretty soon. The pants turned out badly, so I innocenced it, did it again, turned out badly, innocenced it, and did it again. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, I guess, because really, what I'm finding is the all stat scrolls, the +5, +6 all stat scrolls. I will have another analysis of this, which is a huge video, which somebody actually asked me about earlier. So yeah, it's a video about just cubing, how to cube your weapon, the most optimal lines for your weapon, the most optimal lines, and just how to fund your character in general. So yeah, I'll have that. I'm not sure when I'll do that. I might just do it in the merch guide in that chapter of funding. But yeah, I'm not sure. I might do it in a separate video. It's a huge topic, so yeah. But yeah, the all stat scrolls, what I'm finding is those +5, +6 all stats, they're almost equivalent to Incredible Chaos of Goodnessing your items. And the thing is, what I can do is I can actually go full out, like blow up my pockets and just go Incredible Chaos of Goodness, Incredible Chaos of Goodness, and like if it goes badly, I'll just reverse the scroll with the NX return scroll, and I could just blow out my money until I get like 30 attack RA equips, or I could just YOLO the +5, +6 all stat scrolls. It's almost the same effect, like so. Yeah, this is my budget way of funding. So the Paladin is, I'm not too seriously funding it right now. I will actually take the Paladin to at least hard Magnus. So that's my plan with it. But yeah, the way I'm doing it right now, I'm just YOLOing the scrolls, and after I YOLO the scrolls, I did make it unique, so I go ahead and shoot some cubes on it. Not the best results, but yeah, I don't know like if you guys can see it or not since I'm not rendering it in high quality. The video is just too damn long, so I'm not gonna render in high quality if it ends up too long. It should, yeah, it all ends up at 6% strength on every single equip, so it's not spectacular, but it's obviously something that I can recube in the future. I guess just to talk about the Fire Poison Mage a little bit. The Fire Poison Mage, well, with the equips that it currently stands at, I need to start black cubing the Fire Poison Mage. So how I'm picturing it is, instead of spending cubes on the Paladin, I'd rather spend cubes on the Fire Poison, because he's at that point where he's almost at Chaos Vellum level. So yeah, sorry to spoil anything for you guys, but yeah, he's almost at that really high level of doing Chaos Vellum. So that's why I'm not spending too many cubes on the Paladin, because any cubes that I have, I'd really want to spend them on the Fire Poison. Just for the Paladin, what I'm planning is, I think I said this earlier in the first video of the Paladin. I don't know if I want to get it one-hand sword or two-hand sword or whatever, but what my plan is to get a one-hand sword and a shield. And the reason for that is because, first of all, you can prime scroll the shield, which is ridiculous. The rosary or the other secondary weapon, you can't prime scroll it, so yeah, shield, definitely shield, because you can prime scroll the shield. Secondly, the shield is, I mean, the sword, one-hand sword is faster, and finally, the one-hand sword is hella lot cheaper, so yeah. Saving money, and I feel like, I mean, like, if you're hitting 50 mil per line, you might as well hit faster. Like, obviously, I'm not going to be hitting 50 mil per line, since I'm not funding it that far, but yeah, I'm just saying, you will hit faster. So yeah, I feel like I've rambled on long enough. Let's go ahead and talk about the merch guide. So basically, episode 3, we're going to be doing 3 main central topics. The first topic being learning prices, the second topic, flip merchanting, and the final topic, understanding prices and understanding the market. So notice I said learning prices and understanding prices. Those are two very, very, very difficult things, and that will be the central topic of this video. The other two videos, first episode and second episode, they were a little bit wishy-washy. This is one of the biggest episodes. Actually, I actually switched the episodes. The next episode was supposed to be an episode about mushies, but I figured, you know what, let's not do that video. Next episode will actually be a different topic about investment merchanting as well as networking, two of the other biggest topics. So yeah, we're starting to get to the really big topics. So yeah, this is the good stuff, guys. You really want to stay and watch these videos. But yeah, let's start with the short story about how I came to turn into a merchant, I guess. Turn into a merchant, if that makes sense. Basically, how it started is episode 2, I talked about how I made angelic blessing rings. And basically how I did it, how I became a merchant is, I walked through the market every single day, because back then we didn't have Maple.fm, we didn't have owls or anything like, well, we did have owls, but they were for NX. So all I did was I walked through the market every single day and I searched for items. I searched for the angelic blessing recipes, because that's really the only thing I was looking for. But as I was searching, I didn't have tunnel vision. I was actually looking at every single other item, and I looked at every single price of every single item. Well, like, it wasn't like I was doing it on purpose, it was more unconsciously. So I started looking at all these prices and I started memorizing prices. Like, I won't say I memorized every price, because I remember when I saw the Empress equips, I was pretty overwhelmed by how similar they were, because I was like, what is Lionheart, what is you know, all these other things, because they were really confusing. But basically, I started just buying angelic blessing recipes. I found them in the market here and there and I bought them. But along the way, I got a store permit and I started selling my angelic blessing rings. I realized my store was kind of empty. Even though I had a lot of ABRs, I didn't really have that much, like, you know, variety in my store. And as I was walking through the store finding more recipes, I started unconsciously buying other items. And you'd probably be thinking, wait, why are you buying other items? Isn't that counterproductive? The thing is, I started noticing that certain items were priced a little bit cheaper, and as I was walking through the market looking for angelic blessing recipes, I started noticing the price differences and I started buying cheaper items that I saw, because I noticed that some items were priced cheaper and some items sold for a little bit higher than they were priced. So I bought these cheaper items and I priced them for a little bit higher, and I started selling these higher priced items, and that's really how the merchant inside of me was born. So that's why I feel like I should include this story as to how I quote unquote turned into a merchant. Episode 2, I taught you a little bit of how to make money, but as I repeated like 50 times, we're trying to teach you not only how to make money, but understand how it's done. So I gave you guys some methods, and now let's. So the first topic, as I said, is learning prices, and learning prices is really how you become a functioning merchant. So learning prices involves memorizing, and as you heard from my story, I didn't actually like go out and take like flashcards, or I didn't go out and put them on an Excel spreadsheet or anything extreme like that. Two reasons why. The first reason is you want to simply look at the prices, and you don't have to like go crazy studying for it. But the second reason is because it's actually impossible to have a book of prices. The thing is, I'll tell you guys right now, if you have a book of prices, or you have like a whole bunch of things that you like to reference for prices, I will tell you this right now, throw it out. The thing about it is prices are constantly changing. And I know you guys hear that and you're like, yeah, they're constantly changing, but the price of this is kind of standard. The thing is, prices wiggle around just ever so slightly. They wiggle. And the thing is, as a merchant, if you can't figure out those wiggles, if you walk through the market every single day, you will see the price wiggle up and down just a little bit every single time. The thing is, there's no magical standard. There's no magical book. There's no maple god saying, oh yeah, the price of this item is blah blah blah. There's nothing that dictates the price of your item. Nothing solidly will dictate the price of your item. As a merchant, you must dictate your own price. That is the most important thing. You can't rely on a book. You have to memorize your own prices. You have to see as the price wiggles, and you price your item at that. When you memorize prices, there are two different prices that you need to look at. The first price is the price that you see of an item that's sold. For example, if I saw a pink bean hat and I saw it sell for 50 mil, fine, the pink bean hat sold for 50 mil. Then I'm walking through the market again, I see another pink bean hat. It's up for 100 mil. This time it did not sell. These understandings of these prices, where the price will sell at this price. For example, I get another pink bean hat and I put it up in my store for, I don't know, say 80 mil. And it takes a while, but it sells. Every single price that you come to understand, you have to dictate your own price. And for that reason, I know some people tell me like the prices in my store, personally, the prices in my store are overpriced. The thing is, when you price your item, you're not trying to aim to overprice your item. You're trying to aim for that optimal two things. There's a ratio. The first ratio being time. How long does it take to sell your item? And the second ratio being profit. Time and profit are a ratio. And as a merchant, you have to figure that out. And that all starts with the foundation of learning the prices and learning like the two different prices I said. First one being when like you see the price of the item when it sells, and second one, you see the price of the item as it does not sell. So that is more or less learning prices, and at the same time that leads to the other topic, which is flip merchanting. And the essence of flip merchanting, here's how it goes. It's obvious, as I said in episode 1, you buy an item for cheap, you sell it for higher. Pretty damn obvious. The thing is, let's dig a little deeper. If you play safe and you buy a cheap item, the price that you know, you buy a cheap item and it's a little bit cheaper, and it's a price that everybody else knows, you resell it for a little bit higher. As I said, everybody knows this price. You'll make a little bit profit since everybody quote unquote knows the price. So say for example you buy a glove for attack 60% scroll for X amount of money, you resell it for just a little bit higher. How come you couldn't sell it for more? How come you couldn't make it for more profit? First of all, the item was cheap to begin with. Second of all, the item is very common, so everybody knows the price of the item. Now let's take a look at this in a different point of view. What if I bought a godly item or a very rare item? Well, first of all, you're probably asking yourself, wait, if I bought one of those items, how the fuck would I know what to price it at? That's a very good question. I actually got a private message from one person who asked me this question. So you asked a very good question, dude. I hope you can get what you want out of this video. How do you price check? Well, how do you understand how to price this item? How do you merge godly items? In order to actually price the item, you yourself as the merchant have to dictate the price. As I said earlier, there's no maple god that says, or there's no book, there's no maple god that says like, oh yeah, the price of this item is blah blah blah. No one will dictate that price except you yourself. As a merchant, it is your duty to figure out what the consumer wants. So you figure out the price for what is reasonable, what the consumer wants, and you put that price up there. In that sense, there's no such thing as overpricing your item, because as a merchant, you've figured out the price that someone else will want to buy it for. So that's how it's done. So some very important things to note. As I said earlier, there are two reasons why your glove for attack scroll did not sell for higher and why it did not make more profit. The first one being the fact that everybody knows the price. We already highlighted this. A godly item, not everybody knows the price, so you can really price it at whatever. And like I wouldn't say just price it at an idiotic price. The thing is, you price it at something that's reasonable. As a merchant, you can figure out what is reasonable. But secondly, The thing is, when you have a cheap item, there's not much wiggle room. I talked about wiggle, and the price can go up and down ever so slightly. The thing is, when you have a godly item, you will realize that if your item is worth 10 bill, you might be able to get 12 bill for it. If your item is worth 60 bill, you might even be able to squeeze 70 bill. As you get more expensive items, you will get more wiggle room to, I guess you can say, heighten the price of your item. And the rarer it is, the more uncommon the item is, well, you as a merchant will dictate the price. Just because your item is uncommon doesn't mean you can put it up for 100 billion mesos, you know, that kind of thing. Don't be idiotic. You put your own reasonable price down, and if it's reasonable, it will sell in a reasonable amount of time, and a buyer will want it. So if it works like that, even if your item is really highly priced, it is not overpriced because you put it at a reasonable price and somebody bought it in a reasonable amount of time. And what is a reasonable amount of time? Usually I'd say around 2 weeks. So yeah, when I buy an item, when I buy a godly item, I do not ask the question, what does this item cost? I do not ask that question. I ask the question, how much can I get for this item? It is a very different mindset, and it doesn't sound that different right now, but when you buy an item next time, try to ask this question, try to figure it out in a different mindset, and you might just get more money for the item. So just some stupid merchant myths. I see a lot of merchants do this, and it's, at first, as a beginning merchant, when I saw this, I was like, oh, there must be really good merchants. I see that blah, 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 blah. But then I started realizing how bad of merchants they really were. The thing is, you do not just take your item and say, oh, I'm gonna jack the price up to blah, 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 and I'm gonna sell it. That, like, don't do that. It's fucking stupid. Okay, look. When you sell an item, you're not trying to aim to squeeze the last penny out of your consumer. That is not what you're trying to do. You're trying to spend the least amount of time but get the most amount of profit. That is the golden ratio. There is no set amount of time. As a merchant, as I said, you dictate your own price. What am I talking about when I say dictating your own price? I'm trying to say dictate your ratio. Dictate how much time you want to spend on that item and how much profit you want to make. That golden ratio is the price that you dictated at. And I know it is very vague right now, but as I said, the whole entire take on this guide, I try to get a do-it-yourself perspective. So try to go out there and figure these things out yourself. People ask me these questions. How do I know what to do? How do I do this? How do I do that? The answer is not an answer that I can give you the answer, yes. But the real answer is experience and intuition. You have to do it yourself. The more you do it, the better you will get. It always gets easier as time passes. That's, as a merchant, that's really the rule, because the more experience you have, the better you get. So if you fuck up the first time, don't be discouraged. You will get better, as long as you're not stupid, as long as you keep on thinking about it, making better decisions, and learning from your mistakes. And the thing is, I know some people are thinking right now, wait, why would I sell my item for less if I can get more for it? If I keep this, I don't know, hypothetical example, say for example, you got an item and it's selling for 8 bill, but if you wait another week, you might be able to sell it for 9 bill. How come, like, so for me personally, sometimes I might wait 1 week, and other times I might not wait the week to get the extra 1 bill. And people are probably thinking right now, how do you know when to do it? How do you know when to, like, sell the item now? How do you know when to hold on to the item just a little bit longer? As I said in episode 1, the main determinant of prices are events. Events are the main determinant of any price, and the reason for that is because that is the only thing. Nexon introduces items, Nexon takes away things, and Nexon does things in the game which influence the prices. Now, merchants who, like, as I said, there are some stupid merchants who just squeeze the last penny out, and those merchants only see in a linear point of view. What that means is they only see one thing and that's it. They do not realize that events dictate prices. They do not realize any of these things, and when they find a cheaper item, they just want to go boom, 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 boom. I want to sell this for as high as I can get it for. And the thing is, time is money. What does that mean? For example, I will give you an example just to illustrate this better for you guys. I accidentally bought an item for 10 billion mesos. It was an accident, but the true value of the item was a little bit less than that. The thing is, I kept the item in my store for a while and it wouldn't sell. So instead of like trying to sell it back for 10 bill and making like no loss at all, instead, I saw an opportunity in front of me. I saw an opportunity to merch and make money and invest in another item. So what did I do? I took the loss. I bought the item for 10 bill, I sold it for 8 bill. And you're probably thinking, Dennis, isn't that stupid? You're trying to make money, but you just lost 2 bill. The thing is, with that 8 bill, I saw an opportunity and I jumped at that opportunity. With that 8 bill that I got, I invested in a different item with that 8 bill, and the investment almost doubled, and I ended up with 16 bill. So you have to figure it out yourself. You as a merchant has to be flexible. You have to figure out when do you want to hold on to this item, when to hold on to the item, or when you see an opportunity, when to just take the hit and just sell the item. Another example, I have, I'm not going to say what item because, I don't like to give out my merchants, but I have some items that I've been selling, and I don't know, hypothetical price. I've been selling them for 5.5 bill. Okay, that's actually a fake price, so don't look at my store finding an item for 5.5 bill. But I am trying to sell an item for 5.5 bill, and I have a lot of them. So I'm selling them 5.5 bill, right? The thing is, I saw another opportunity. What did I do? Instead of just keeping them in my store for 5.5 bill where they would sell slowly, I bumped the price down to only 5 bill. I made a little bit less profit, but with that little less profit that I made, I took that 5 bill and I put it into something else, and I made even more money. You have to figure out, as a merchant, you cannot look at this in only a linear point of view and just blindly say, oh, I'm going to take this item and I'm going to price it to hell. I'm going to make sure this person pays blah 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 7 bill for it, even though it's only worth 5 bill. Like, don't do it like that. You have to figure out the golden ratio when to sell the item, and as I said, the only one that can figure it out is you. So that is by experience. So when are these opportunities? I keep mentioning like, oh yeah, I sold my item for cheaper because I saw an opportunity. What exactly is an opportunity? You're probably thinking that. Well, as a merchant, as a beginning merchant, you're more or less a hunter, and what I mean by that is you can think of the market as a thick forest, and you're the lion or whatever, and you have to go and hunt for the food. That's what you do as a beginning merchant. You hunt for the prices. You look around, you find something and you jump at it. It's very difficult. You make very minimal money, but you're learning. Eventually, you will come to the point where you become a seasoned merchant. And what is a seasoned merchant? A seasoned merchant is somebody that people know who you are, and you have a good reputation, that kind of thing. And what does a good reputation entail? Well, first of all, you can do trades easier, but we're not going to talk about that. That'll be in the next chapter. But also, instead, you can be, I guess you can be a lazy merchant, and that's more or less what I am. I'm pretty freaking lazy. What I do is I lay in the cut for the most part. I just look for things that come my way. For example, if an event comes my way, I say, okay, I guess I'll just put some money in this event, and I'll make some money out of it. Or, for example, if somebody is quitting, I see a quitting sale, I go up there and I say, oh, okay, you got some nice items. Can I buy all 3 of these items here for a package deal? Give me a discount because I'm buying all 3 at the same time. I lay in the cut, I look for opportunities. These are the opportunities that I'm talking about. Also, as a seasoned merchant who people know, if they know who you are and they know that you are a merchant, if they need quick cash, they will come up to you and people will say like, okay, listen, I need fast money. I want to sell you this item for cheaper so that you can sell it in your store and make profit. I need fast money, so give me a price and I'll sell it to you. You as a merchant, you come up with a good price. As I said in the beginning, there are 2 prices to look for. The first price is the price that the item will sell for. Second is the price that you can just, as I said, I repeated this like a million times, but you give them a reasonable offer. Say, for example, their item costs 10 bill. You give them a reasonable offer, 6.5 to 7 bill is pretty reasonable, and you sell their item for 10 bill later. You've made profit, and they got the money that they wanted to spend really quickly, so both sides are happy. And in that sense, it's an opportunity that came to you. So as a merchant, you have to find these opportunities, and sometimes, as I said in the beginning, as a beginner, you're more or less a hunter. You're a lion in the forest hunting for the food. But eventually, as a seasoned merchant, these opportunities will come to you, and the key to that is networking. And I'll talk about that in the next chapter. So yes, definitely stay tuned for that. With all these things being said, you guys should understand a little bit more about why I call merchanting not just making money or blah blah blah. I call merchanting understanding the game for these reasons, because you begin to really understand things. For example, you understand why the damage cap is 50 mil, why Nexon is not releasing new items. You understand why, why they changed things. For example, during one of these, like one of the patches like a year ago, why they changed cubing to the point where you can cube multiple lines of percent boss, multiple lines of percent attack, blah blah blah. You begin to understand these things, and that's really why I call merchanting, once again, understanding the game. So to answer your question in the most clear and obvious way, how do you price check a godly item? There is no reference point, first of all. So if you're price checking a godly item, there's really no reference point. There's no book. Again, there's no maple god that says blah blah blah, the price is this. There are several ways to price check a godly item. The first way is to figure out the clean price of an item. For example, if you're price checking a weapon, there are a couple factors to use to price check a weapon. First is you look at the clean weapon price, then you start seeing like how much did it cost to make the weapon, how much does it cost to scroll the weapon. You add in some money, say for example, the item was, I don't know, it cost like 10 bill to make the item total. I would price that item at around 15 bill, and then I price it for a little bit higher because of convenience for the buyer and all these other things. It takes out the stress since the buyer doesn't have to scroll it themselves and they don't have to find the resources. You figure out all these things and you spit out the price. That is how you figure out prices of something such as a weapon. Now other items, the other way to figure out prices is to have a price pyramid in your head. And basically how I picture it is as you start learning these prices and start understanding these prices, even though, for example, you don't know the price of a different item, you can compare it in a relative term. For example, I can compare the price of a 6% half earring to the price of a 15% tyrant belt, and I can keep on climbing up that pyramid until I can figure out the price of something, say for example a 14-star tyrant shoe, something like that. You can really figure out these prices, and that all comes down from the foundation. So again, as I said, it as a merchant, you dictate the price. There's no such thing as a solid price of any item, so that's really why this chapter is all about learning prices and understanding prices. Just I guess I'll explain this story. I guess some people assume that I play like this game a lot. I play like crazy. The thing is, I don't actually play this game that much anymore. I spend less than 5 minutes a day merchanting, not including the time I spend resetting my store. I spend very minimal amounts of time merchanting. And the thing is, I don't even walk through the FM anymore. So you're probably wondering, first of all, wait, you just said walk through the FM to learn the prices. How come you don't walk through the FM? If prices change, you won't realize the prices have changed. Thing is, this is I guess leading to the next topic of the video, which is the final topic: understanding the market, understanding the prices. Thing is, I don't walk through the FM anymore, but I know all the prices. How? I understand the patch notes, I read those, and also I reference prices back and forth. For example, I know the prices of the items that I am currently holding, and because I know those prices, again, as I mentioned earlier, there's like a price pyramid in my head. With the knowledge of some of the prices, I can figure out all the other prices in the market with just that knowledge. Obviously, my knowledge is limited. For example, I don't know the prices of things such as chairs, mounts, permanent NX, or collectible rare items, that kind of stuff. But those aren't really too merchable. I don't spend too much time on it because it's not that much profit involved. So, yeah. Okay, so I figure I'd show you guys an example of a merch that I did in which I dictated the price of the item. And again, I said godly item or rare item, and the thing is, I'm probably putting some misconceptions in your guys' head. You're probably thinking, oh, he's talking about 15-star tyrants. No, no, no. Look, okay, so let me show you a picture here. Unfortunately, I'm using Movie Maker, so I can't do a picture overlay, so here's the picture. So looking at this picture, you're probably looking at it and going, dude, that's like a shitty item. Thing is, I looked at the item and I noticed that there was some good potential on it. Well, it's potentially a good item to sell, first of all, and the actual item potential is good, so yeah. But I bought this item for 2 bill. And you're probably thinking, wait, 2 bill? How the fuck did you sell it for double price? I sold it for double the price because I looked at the item. I did not say, how much is this item worth? Again, I said this earlier. I use a different psychology when I buy the item. I don't look at the item and I don't say, I look at the item and I don't say, how much is this item worth? Rather, I ask a different question. I ask the question, how much can I get for this item? And it's a different question, and every single day the answer is usually, like, I wouldn't say every single day, but every single month when I ask this question, if I look at the exact same item that I own every single month, it's a different answer. For example, I sold this surfboard quite a while ago. If I ask this question, like, say in 2 months later or in 3 months later, the answer might be different. So the answer is always different. And for that reason, as I said in the beginning, if you have a price book or if you have like a Excel spreadsheet, just throw that out. Don't be too dependent on it. Instead, learn the prices, put them in your own head, and the prices will always wiggle around, and that's really how it works. So I'll say this again just as I said it in episode 1. If you copy somebody, you may make some money, yeah, that's true, but as a leader and as a merchant, you have to go out there and do stuff. You are a pioneer. You do something that nobody else does, and you do it well. You will make more and more and more money. And this is one of the things. You dictate your own prices. Every single item that you ever had, you dictate that price. And that's where it all begins. That's where the magic happens. So we're nearing the end of this guide, and I want to just really talk about, I guess I want to lead to the next chapter, which is investment merchanting. Investment merchanting is another, you dig a little bit deeper into understanding prices, and basically in terms of understanding prices, it goes even further to not just understanding the price of the item as it is here and now, but understanding the price of the item as it could potentially be in 1 month time, 2 months time, or even something as short as 1 week's time. Some common misconceptions are that investment merges take months. That is not true. Some of my investments only take a few days to take root, and then I make massive amounts of money from it. You have to be very flexible. Investment merchanting is, I guess, in a sense, a misleading term, because even flip merchanting can be considered investment, and it's very hard to draw the line. But the one thing that is clear is if you do this correctly, you are going to make more money. So yeah, as I said, if you copy somebody else's investment, you can make some money, yes, but if you really want to be successful, you really want to be a leader, you want to just take that step forward, you be the one who figures it out. You use your brain, you think, okay, this item is going to be worth a gold mine in 2 months. I am going to pour my money into this item. You do that, nobody else does it. 2 months time, you sell these items and you do it so well, people even think that you're a hacker. That's how good you are. So if you're a merchant and if somebody calls you a hacker because you have so many of one item, take that as a compliment, because that's just how good of a merchant you are. You're so good that they couldn't even comprehend it, so they just blame it on hacking. So yeah, since this is the end of the guide, let's go ahead and do a chapter recap, since I felt like I jumped around a lot. Basically, we opened this guide with 3 main topics. The first topic being learning prices. The second topic being flip merchanting, and the final topic, which is understanding the prices and understanding the market. And the thing is, to really memorize prices, all you have to do is just look at the prices. I'd say look through the market, walk through the market at least once or twice a day for around 2 weeks. You should get all the prices down. So learning prices, it's very basic, very easy, and that leads to flip merchanting. And flip merchanting is recognizing a cheaper item or a price of an item that is cheaper in the market, in which you can sell it and make more money. You find those items, and that's where the flip merchanting is. It's a little bit profit, and it's not too good, but it's very good for teaching you how to really step your game up in the future. And that, when I mean step your game up, I'm talking about stepping your game up to godly items. When you really start flipping godly items, you yourself have to dictate the price, because, as I said, if the item is godly or rare, that would imply that there aren't like few in the market or none in the market. So you really can't compare your item. Like, say for example, if you have a 15-star tyrant shoe, you really can't compare that with another 15-star tyrant shoe, because more than likely there's not going to be another one. Or to make a more reasonable example, if you find a just a perfect scrolled Fafnir claw, for example, nothing too extreme, just a casual item like that, if you find one of those, you more than likely can compare the prices, kind of, but in another sense, you yourself have to dictate the price. So you buy the item, you dictate the price, and you ask yourself the question, how much can I get for it? You don't ask yourself, how much is this item worth? You ask yourself, how much can I get for it? You go for it, you sell it, and that's where you make money from it. There's 2 things about it. First of all, if you play it safe, the item is everybody else knows the price of the item, so you're not going to get much profit from that. So that's first of all. And second of all, if you're selling a cheap item in the first place, there's not much wiggle room for how much you can inflate the price. For example, if the price of the item is 15 mil, you might be able to squeeze 20 mil into it, so it's not too much profit. But in another sense, if you hit the godly items, two different things. First of all, nobody else knows the price in a sense where it's not like, the price is not common knowledge. And second of all, if the price is so expensive, there's a lot of wiggle room, and you can really inflate the price by like a little bit more to make more money reasonably. Like, I'm not telling you to just go off and just be an asshole and just inflate the price like crazy. I'm saying if the price of the item is 10 bill, you might get 11 or 12 bill for it. You can really squeeze the price a little bit higher. And also, the other thing with that is when you dictate your prices, don't overprice your items. There's two ways to really price it, and it's the golden ratio. And that golden ratio is time and profit. So you have to figure it out yourself, and that's why I say you dictate the price. When I say dictate the price, I'm saying dictate that ratio. How much time do you want to spend on this item, and how much money do you want to make on it? And as a good merchant, you don't always want to squeeze every last penny out of it. Sometimes if it's an item, like I'm not saying, like, sometimes if it's an item that is just good, you can just squeeze every last penny out of it. But other times, in certain situations when opportunities present themselves in front of you, you can go ahead and sell the item for a little bit cheaper. You make a little bit less profit, or sometimes you might even sell it for cheaper than you bought it, and you might lose money. But you take that money and you can put it somewhere else and make even more money. So as a merchant, you can't just think linearly. You have to be very flexible. You have to understand these things, and you have to understand that the market is like, you have to understand the market isn't just a single straight line. Finally, we go to the topic of understanding and price checking godly items. This is where it comes to the point where you start understanding the prices. To understand the prices, you really have to, it's more experience than anything. That's really the answer to it all. The more experience you have as a merchant, the more you can understand these prices, and the more you can just stare at an item and just pop out a price. Someone asks you, what is the price of this item? You stare at it for a while and you say, the item is worth 5.5 bill. That's really the gist of it. There's really I apologize to the guy who sent me the private message. I can't give you a surefire definitive way to do it. The only thing I can tell you is, with experience comes more knowledge. So you really have to do this yourself. Keep on forcing yourself to do it. Like, don't force yourself if you don't like it, but force yourself to try to understand these things. And with understanding these prices, you will climb and you will go to greater heights. This is really the gateway to all other forms of merchanting. From learning prices to understanding prices. When you cross that line and you start understanding prices, you will make massive amounts of money. With understanding prices, you can start understanding giant flip merchants, you can start understanding giant investments, and you start understanding all these other things. You understand how to fund your character properly, when to fund your character, and that's really where you start growing. So I'll say this again, even though I've said it so many times. As a leader, if you do something that nobody else does and you do it well, you will make more money. If you are a follower, you can make some money, but you'll always play the background. As a merchant, I want to empower you guys to become leaders and try to step up as much as possible. As a final example, I will show you guys screenshots of me as a beginning merchant. This is when I only had 1 billion mesos, and that's it. So as you can see from these screenshots, the thing is, you see a lot of skill books, and I know this is some pretty old stuff. As I said, this is only when I had 1 billion mesos. Now the thing is, I monopolized Phantom skill books. I looked at it and I told myself, I see a good opportunity here. It does not matter how poor or rich you are. Even when I only had 1 billion mesos, I was able to do this. Don't make excuses for yourselves. You guys can do it as well. I looked at this and I said, I see an opportunity here. I saw these Phantom skill books and I saw people buying them. And then what did I think? I thought, what if I bought every single Phantom skill book from the market? I bought every single Phantom skill book and I put them all in my own store and I advertised it. What did that do? First of all, because I was the only one with the Phantom skill books, I dictated my own price. And I put the new price up there in the market, and people still came and people bought the books. Other things that happened when I did this, People came to my store exclusively, and when they bought the books, they didn't just buy one. They bought multiple books because, for example, if they needed a certain book, they would buy the 20 and they'd buy the 30. I was making massive amounts of money by doing this, fast money, and I was getting my name out there and being recognized as a merchant. So it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. I hope these pictures can encourage you guys. Even if you only have 1 billion mesos, you can try to start doing things. So that does conclude this guide. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm sorry if I rambled on too long about this kind of stuff. My outline and my script for this guide was a little bit spontaneous. I really just smashed out what I was typing on keyboard and I just recorded it. I was more or less really busy, so yeah, my internet's been disconnecting a lot, so when I have the opportunity, I try my best to upload since my internet is up. So yeah, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys stay tuned for episode 4, which I talk about investment merchanting as well as networking.